You cannot even find your signature. Look, you cannot know what you can become if you don't know who you are. You cannot know who you are if you don't know where you're coming from. What I'm trying to say is that some of us, we are caught up in the definition of other people, and sometimes we need to make sure that we then allow ourselves to be citizens. Maybe you're saying, Simphiwe, what is the difference between a leader who's a settler and a leader who's a citizen? A leader who's a citizen is somebody that can work for 15 years for an organization, and that person will say, I cannot leave this organization until I bring about change. These are the people, I call them change architects. These are the people that says, look, I have resilience. Look, I have foresight. I'll make sure that I'm here to bring about transformation. I used to work for an organization where, during the advent of BEE, I worked for this organization. I was 21 years old. I was providing leadership to close to 25 people. It was a project management company. And as I was providing a leadership, some of my partners then, they said, Simphiwe, why don't we make this company a shell? Meaning that it should be non-existent. You just become a face of that. And I said to my partners, I cannot do that, because I'm a man of integrity and I want to make sure that I bring about transformation and change. You can only become a change architect if you have found your leadership, signature. There are a couple of things that are challenging all of us. Maybe you're saying, Simphiwe, what are the things that are of challenge to us? We are faced with what I call the 3 C's. The first C is what I call change. The third C is what I call complexity. The last C is what I call change, complexity, and competition. The first C is what I call change. Maybe you're saying, what is change? What change has to do with transformation? What change has to do with leadership? Look, if change externally is faster than change internally, you're in trouble. Because for you to provide good leadership, you shouldn't be what I call a transactional leader. You must be what I call a transformational leader. What do I mean by that? Is that, for example, some of us, we only live according to what we have learned. We don't go beyond what we have learned. We become transactional in terms of providing leadership. We become bookish in terms of providing leadership. But what I'm trying to say is that if you're a transformational leader, you're somebody that will say, over and above what I know, I must then research and understand the global trends. Because remember, particularly if you're young, whether you're in the church, at school, the global economy also affects you. If there is a job opening somewhere, or if there's a position opening somewhere, you must know that you are not only competing with people kokasi, you are also competing with other people outside South Africa, because we are now part of the global economy. And you must know one thing, that particular, when you attend an interview and go to that organization, one of the key things that they'll want to know is that what is your signature as a leader, as an individual? But 2, what is your value proposition? Meaning that what is it that you can do that somebody cannot provide? And you must know instantly as a person that there is something unique about you. There is something powerful about you, particularly if you provide leadership. That what I'm trying to say is that change plays a role. There's a saying that I love so much. It said the race is no longer, or the battle is not between the strong and the weak, but the battle is between the slow and what? And the fast. Meaning that the slower you are, the more you're going to lose opportunities. What I'm trying to say is that the world is changing so fast, and most of us, we don't change with the world. We are not becoming pioneers of our own future and destiny. And sometimes we think that we are bewitched or loyal, and we forget that, no, we are not bewitched. It's because I read some mind did change its thing, it's. And many people don't normally say, we don't find jobs. Many people, they say, we don't find good positions. The question that I ask you is that, are you providing leadership where you are? Because if you can't provide leadership where you are, people, they'll make sure that they recognize you. Because life is not about being a superstar. Life, it's about you finding your own leadership signature. What is it that makes me different? What is it that when I do, it attracts other people? What is it that when I do, because remember, life is not about pursuing money. Life is about pursuing ideas and opportunities. Because once you pursue money, you're gonna be miserable. You're gonna be frustrated. But once you pursue your ideas and your talent, money will do what will follow after you. Because money cannot answer all your problems. I understand that they're saying money answers all problems, but there are other things that cannot. You can have a bed that is made out of platinum and gold, but you cannot buy a good sleep, isn't it? You can have a good physician who comes from Harvard University, but you cannot have a good health, because these are the things that you cannot buy. You can only have those things when you love what you do and you're content with what you do. You can only become content if you have found your signature as a leader. Maybe you're saying, Simphiwe, unpack what you talk about signature. It's something that defines you. If you study, for example, they will tell you that, particularly as people, there are two things that controls all of us. There's what we call pain and pleasure. Have you realized that when you don't enjoy a thing, you migrate to something that you enjoy? Have you realized that? If you're not happy in a relationship, you move to a relationship where you're happy. I get? If you want romance, you move where you find romance. I get? And are we all together? Because life is about pain, it's about pleasure. If you're not happy at work, you find where you're going to find enjoyment, isn't it? But somebody, there's a guy by the name of Dr. Timartini says, also life is about values. It's about understanding that you are controlled by two values. It's about the lowest values, it's about the highest values. And it says that if you operate at your lowest values, you'll be ill-disciplined. You won't have focus. You'll have what you call ADD, which is attention deficiency disorder. Many people, because they haven't found their signature, leadership signature, they always forget. You know those people. They always forget what the teacher has said because they don't see themselves providing leadership in any sphere of influence because they are operating at the lowest values. And people that are operating at the lowest values, they are externally driven. What I mean by that is that they allow people outside to define who they are. They allow environment. You know, when it's home, when it's hot, by chaser, when isn't it? Because they allow outside environment to do what? To determine their own lives. But then it says there's what we call the highest values. Maybe saying what is the highest values? It's people who operate at their signature. Are people who said, listen, I've found my leadership signature. I know where I'm going.